Hello folks, Dom Lawson from Metal Hammer magazine here with another Iron Sandwich thing. What's just an Iron Sandwich? It's not actually an Iron Sandwich, that would be weird. Slightly regret calling it that in the first place, but anyway, what can you do? Make these decisions on the fly and end up looking like a dickhead. Well, more of a dickhead. Anyway, today I want to talk to you about one of the more unexpected collaborations that's occurred in recent times in the metal world, and that is Primal Rock Rebellion, which is the teaming up, joining forces, meeting of minds, if you will, of Adrian Smith from Iron Maiden and Mikee Goodman, the former frontman with SikTh, of course. I was trying to think of a way of describing SikTh, but that's kind of the point of them, really, was that you couldn't really describe them. I mean, I suppose they were a post-Dillinger metal band in some ways, but very technical and complex music and all the rest of it. Now, I suppose it's a bit redundant for me to go into the reasons why Iron Maiden are good, so I won't bother doing that. But I think SikTh were. It's only, I suppose, only with hindsight that we see how kind of influential and inspirational I think SikTh were in many ways, and they were one of those bands that they're kind of underachieved in commercial terms, and really had they stuck around, or if they reformed now, you think they'd probably clean up or do extremely, or certainly do better, than they did at the time. I mean, they did all right, to be fair, and they sold out many a headline show, and were rapidly becoming one of the biggest metal bands in the country. But sometimes careers don't quite work out the way they should, and you just have to look at the way that, for instance, Skindred have kind of steadily worked their way up to the position they're in now. Well, I think SikTh could have done that, but didn't. But anyway, I think looking back, SikTh's two albums were, second one particularly, I think is fantastic. I mean, the first one, I don't know, I was a fan, and I think they had certain moments on both their albums that were absolutely phenomenal. And there's no denying the quality. Their best stuff was fucking amazing. But I did think that they had a tendency to over-egg the pudding somewhat, and particularly with regard to Mikee's kind of poetry, and if we're going to call it that, and his kind of improvisational ramblings. It probably wasn't improvised at all, but anyway. But you know what I mean, folks, don't you? The bits when he'd gibber on inanely and with some weird noises in the background, and you just kind of think, well, yeah, this is great and everything, but could you not play another song? But I think they were brilliant, and particularly live, I thought SikTh were amazing. So, I mean, Mikee's an obvious talent. He had a very a wide range of voices that he used, and it was one of the things that made their music as interesting as it was, really. Never mind the fact that they had some, the rest of the band were amazing musicians. So it's kind of, it's an exciting proposition, really. You've got Adrian Smith, who, for many people is the key to Iron Maiden's creative resurgence over the last 10 years. I think, as much as the rest of the band are all heavily involved in composing the songs and the sound of Iron Maiden, I think you only have to listen to the difference between the stuff that Iron Maiden were putting out while Adrian was in the band first time round, and the stuff that they've put around since he returned, and compare it to the 90s albums, which all had their great moments, but there was an edge lacking, I think, in those days. As much as I love, a lot of those things, I love the X Factors. I don't, it's not like I'm slagging it off. But I think, the general agreement is that the best stuff Iron Maiden has done, is all features Adrian Smith, except for the first album, obviously, which is Dennis Stratton. Fact fans. But anyway, so there you go. It's an unlikely combination in some ways, but you have to give these things the benefit of the doubt. And I think my worry with Primal Rock Rebellion was that it would be Adrian Smith trying to do something kind of modern and down with the kids and kind of contemporary and cutting edge, to differentiate it from what he does with Iron Maiden, which would be totally understandable. And he's a man with broad taste in music, and he obviously pays attention to what's going on. At the younger end of the metal scale, so that's a healthy thing, But there is always, there have been moments in the past when older metal musicians, not mentioning any names, have tried to do something a bit more kind of cutting edge, and have ended up looking a bit daft, and particularly during the latter stages of the new metal era, there were one or two people who tried to jump on that bandwagon and clearly didn't grasp that A, it was dying on its arse, and B, that no one wanted to hear that anyway, especially from them, you know. But anyway, you can work out for yourself who I mean. But yeah, but in fact, the reality of this album is that, I mean, for one, I've got to start by saying I think it's fucking brilliant. I really, really like it. The more I listen to it, the more I like it. But it's not Maiden meets SikTh. It's not an attempt by Adrian Smith to do something that's so radically different from what he's known for that you kind of, you know, sat there going, what the fuck's going on here? It's you know it's Adrian Smith without a doubt, you know, his solos particularly, but his riffing and a lot of his ideas, you know, they're obviously things that wouldn't fit into Iron Maiden at all. But his stuff is always the most distinctive out of everybody's songwriting in Iron Maiden anyway, and the stuff that kind of pushes Iron Maiden, you know, further away from what people would class as their kind of trademark sound, you know, and their recognisable, you know, the traits, the repeated traits that they have on their records, you know. But it's the combination of what Smith is doing, which is, you know, brilliant, really, all the way through, and Mikee's vocal performance that make this a really remarkable record in many ways. I think, you know, I mean, Mikee does a lot of the stuff that he was known for in SikTh. He does a lot of the funny voices and the screeching and growling and yelping and all that kind of stuff. But he also sings, and he sings with this kind of really kind of raw, husky, clean tone that seldom reared its head during the days of SikTh, because obviously they had a clean vocalist in the band as well. And he's got just a really kind of eccentric, idiosyncratic kind of vocal tone, you know, which lends the songs a really kind of odd edge, you know. It is quite an eccentric record, and Mikee's the key to that, obviously, you know. And but the other great thing about it is that it's a very diverse record. It crosses a lot of kind of different elements, rock and metal elements. It is, I guess, a metal record in many respects, but it's quite a melodic one. But there are a lot of modern elements in there. You know, the first track starts off with a kind of sampled drum beat, and you kind of think, oh god, is it going to be like a new metal track or something? And the riff kicks in, and it's almost kind of in the new metal vein. But then Mikee's vocals kick in, and he's doing some kind of weird, you know, kind of talking Mike Patton-y kind of stuff, and it just kind of works. And then the chorus kicks off, and it's brilliant. And that's the other thing about this. Another thing about this album is that there are some huge choruses on it and really big melodies and stuff that kind of, you know, does remind me of some of the songs Adrian Smith's written in the past, you know, things like Sea of Madness and Reach Out, where it's famous Iron Maiden B-sides, you know, things like that just have really kind of soaring, powerful, passionate choruses. And then there's a lot of really, really heavy stuff in there as well, you know. I mean, there's a song called Savage World, I think it's called, let me just check, which reminds me a lot of In Flames. In the best possible way, yeah. And there you go, Savage World is a brilliant track, you know. There's a song called No Place Like Home, which is a real kind of heads down, fast metal track with a killer chorus, you know. And that's when Mikee's voice is at its most surprising, because he's got a really great singing voice, you know. But it's just got that little kind of oddness to it, which makes it interesting. There's one bit of weird poetry halfway through the album, the track called As Tears Come Falling, which is just kind of 47 seconds of Mikee babbling away, and it's fascinating. I mean, I do love his lyrics, you know. They're very peculiar and very evocative, and it's awesome. And I think, if you know, the problem with the first SikTh album is there was about 20 minutes of that stuff, you know, which made it quite hard to listen to, really. My favourite track, I think, out of the lot is the final track, Mirror and the Moon. And there's a couple, I mean, there's one on it, which is the one, I can't remember which one sounds. Oh yeah, the title track, Awoken Broken, sounds quite a lot like a King Diamond song, so that's always a result. Let me see, what was the other one that I wanted to pick out? Yeah, Mirror and the Moon. I mean, there's a couple of moments, you know, that do sound a little bit Maiden-y, like there's a kind of outro refrain on No Friendly Neighbour, the opening track, which definitely gives away a kind of hint of Maiden about it. There's the chorus of White Sheet Robes, again, quite Maiden-y in some ways. And the closing track, Mirror and the Moon, which is very, very kind of delicate, you know, with acoustic guitar and kind of quite a mellow tune, but with a really kind of ballsy crescendo towards the end. It's just, I don't know, there's just something about it that's just really distinctive and unusual, you know. And although in some ways it's a straightforward heavy rock album, the combination of Mikee and Adrian Smith's guitar playing and that kind of edginess that he brings to a kind of straightforward hard rock sound is fascinating, I think. And as I say, it gets better with every listen, you know. Now, if you're a fan of SikTh, I can't guarantee you're going to like this, because it's not all over the place musically. It's not really techy or complex or intricate, you know. There are some, you know, some quite inventive moments, but it's in many ways a straightforward heavy rock metal album, you know. it's got bugger all to do with Dillinger Escape Plan or SikTh or any of those kind of things in terms of, you know, the structure of the songs, but it has that eccentricity which made SikTh so interesting, and it also has some just fantastic guitar playing on it by one of the greatest, you know, metal guitarists of all time. You know, it has a lot of character, this album, and I think, you know, when you think of some of the collaborations that, you know, Audio Slave springs to mind. You know, when that was announced, and you thought, oh right, Chris Cornell, brilliant singer with Soundgarden, Rage Against the Machine, fantastic band. This is going to be amazing. But once you got past the first track on the first album, it was just all a bit dull. You know, and you just thought, well, it kind of sounds exactly like I thought it was going to. That's not very interesting. Whereas Primal Rock Rebellion doesn't really sound like you imagined it was going to, and it's something very fresh and exciting, I think. So there you go. It's called Awoken Broken. It's out on Spy Farm UK, and it's by Primal Rock Rebellion, Adrian Smith and Mikee Goodman, and it's an absolute belter. I've been playing it quite a lot, and will continue to do so. So there you go. Check it out or don't. I don't really give a shit what you do. I don't even know if there's anyone watching this. I could just be wasting my time. So anyway, yeah, Dom Lawson saying goodbye. Cheers. Thanks for watching this. If you did, bye.